going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for today's video, I have to go ahead and give a massive appreciation post over to Battlefield 6, because seriously, if it wasn't for Battlefield 6, we would not be in the situation that we currently are in. I've seen dozens of creators say, oh, our feedback has caused this change. No, it truthfully has not. Even for me myself personally, every single time that I've bought into the Call of Duty experience while also complaining about skill-based matchmaking, I have never been a part of this overall process that's taken place here. None of us have. The only people who are to be thanked for all of this stuff is, once again, Battlefield 6 and the casual audience of players who actually voted with their wallets and chose to move away from Call of Duty and play something different, guys. As you can see right here from the official Call of Duty page, the Call of Duty community is unmatched, and we thank you for joining us in the Black Ops 7 beta over the last week. This beta has provided Treyarch the opportunity to try new things and rapidly test and implement player feedback. Building on this feedback, we can confirm that open matchmaking with minimal skill consideration will be the default for Black Ops 7 multiplayer. Additionally, to help keep players together from match to match more often, persistent lobbies will be coming to Black Ops 7 at launch on November 14th, guys. This is absolutely huge, because the biggest issue was having two separate playlists. The matchmaking at times still didn't feel very good, because at the end of the day, the casuals who might have gotten stomped in a lobby would say, oh, well, I can go back to the matchmaking playlist. And obviously, the majority of the sweats went to the no skill-based matchmaking mosh pit. The only way for something like no skill-based matchmaking to feel normal is if it's the forced matchmaking system in the whole overall experience. That's the only way. And here you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is how it's going to be right at launch, alongside non-disbanding lobbies. And ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't end just there. This is probably the thing that I'm most excited about right here, alongside skill-based matchmaking, obviously. Aim assist. We've also seen the discussions about rotational aim assist and community questions about how aim assist will be tuned across inputs in Black Ops 7. It is a priority of ours to have a fair and competitive balance across all input devices at launch, and we'll be sharing more about changes coming to aim assist on controller ahead of launch. Once again, who's to thank for this? In my personal opinion, Battlefield 6. Because guess what? The majority of players who are going to be playing Battlefield 6 are also on controller. And guess what Battlefield 6 doesn't have? Stupidly thick aim assist. Not even in the slightest. And guess what? Players still enjoy themselves. They still get killed. It's almost like you don't need the aim to stick onto every target and do every last bit of work for the individual to give them satisfaction. It's almost like satisfaction comes from the individual learning how to play the game, learning how to use the analog sticks. Of course, AA is required here and there. I'm not saying it should be irrelevant, but holy crap. Ever since Modern Warfare 2019 was introduced and they, put in crossplay, they decided to take the lazy route. You know what I'm saying? They didn't decide to go ahead and, try to tweak things here and there to make sure it's optimal for both inputs. No, they said, okay, everybody's going to complain about keyboard and mouse. Let's crank up AA to the max. It got so bad to the point where the pros were even complaining about it. And if you go back and look at some previous tournaments where they actually played different older Call of Duty games, the pros can't even aim straight with how adjusted they've become to this new rotational aim assist that has been incorporated in Call of Duty over the past, handful of years. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a massive moment in Call of Duty history. Probably one of the biggest moments in Call of Duty history that we have ever seen. Literally, I'm not lying. Not like, in the previous month, not in the previous couple of years, not, in the previous 10 to 20 plus years. No, this is the biggest moment in Call of Duty history. We as a community have begged for these changes for ages. We have tried to bring Call of Duty back to its former glory, but with the lack of competition, we were never able to do such a thing. And again, a lot of us, including myself, refused to step away. We would continuously buy into the product and then complain. Then go ahead and buy the next product and complain. And we would do that again and again and again. And guess what? Why would Activision ever act, right? And then here comes BO7 versing Battlefield 6. And again, I don't think I can express how thankful I am for Battlefield 6, even as a Battlefield fan, because I love the Battlefield franchise. And Battlefield 6 is doing something huge for us as well. They are bringing us a Battlefield game after years of us suffering from DICE. I mean, DICE has not been on their A game either. But guess what happened? Competition. The Battlefield community left Battlefield, went over to COD. That made Battlefield had to rearrange themselves and get things back in order. Now we have Battlefield 6, an absolute banging Battlefield experience. And now Call of Duty sees the competition with Battlefield 6, and they have to get themselves back in order, because now COD fans are leaving Call of Duty to go play Battlefield. Do you guys see what competition does for the overall scene? Do you see how important it actually is? All the people who constantly come at my neck and many other people's necks for trying to play other games and, give light to other titles out there to encourage others to play them. While people just kept saying, oh, these are crap games, these are low quality games, low budget games, they're not funded by AAA devs, they don't have a big budget, we shouldn't bother giving them our time. But we should. We should be giving other games a chance because this is the only way we'll ever see change within the industry. If we don't have any other games that are competition, you already see what happens. Activision, year after year after year, are telling us we're stupid. We don't know what we're talking about. Apparently, we have no idea what makes a good matchmaking system. And then out of the blue, after all this time, they decide to change it? This also makes me very skeptical about the future as well, and although this is fantastic news for Call of Duty, I highly urge a lot of you guys to be cautious about what's going to happen with the future of this franchise. And don't just completely cave just yet. If you want to purchase BO7, by all means, that's great. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, to support a system like this, we should be going ahead. And again, supporting it, downloading it, doing, other things of that such. If, of course, you want to play Call of Duty. But that doesn't mean forget everything Activision has done. I actually put out a tweet earlier today, and again, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, I've been trying to be a little bit more active on the platform, so if you guys want to check it out, I have all my links down in the description of this video. But I said, you're telling me Activision had years worth of data proving skill-based matchmaking is good, but a simple open mosh pit was enough to debunk all of it? They must be absolutely getting mopped when it comes to sales. And I truly do mean this. What the heck is going on here? They have told us countless times that the matchmaking system is the best thing for the game. It's the best thing for the health of the overall game. And you're telling me they have years worth of proof, quote-unquote proof in their back end. But all it took was one single open mosh pit, a little open mosh pit, to go ahead and debunk all of this. And now skill-based matchmaking is bad for the game? After we just got told for years that it's not, and they've run countless of hidden tests that we had no clue about as a community. They would do it without us knowing, and they would tell us all the time, yeah, every single time we do this, players leave. They don't want to play the game anymore. And now, out of nowhere, all of that stuff is wrong? Every last bit of information they have told us, everything that they have... you know what? I really hope someone out there puts together a video of every statement Activision has put out about skill-based matchmaking, just for the laughs. I will love whichever content creator decides to do that, because seriously, there are countless amounts of blog posts of Activision preaching about how good the system is. And it just seems wild to me that all it took was one little mosh pit to debunk years worth of hard, worked data. It doesn't make any sense to me. Besides, they were lying. They had a matchmaking system that was in place to milk the players and milk the whales out of their money. And that was the only sole purpose of it. And everybody who was defending it are, in my personal opinion, at this point, losers. I can't believe people were defending this and calling any of us who were saying it's a bad system morons for hating on it. And all we wanted to do was pub stomp noobs. Oh man, that was the worst go-to I think I've ever heard in my whole life. Because it's hilarious, every game that doesn't have skill-based matchmaking, like X-Define for example, all those same people got stomped. And all of us included, we had rough games too. The whole point of no skill-based matchmaking was never to stomp noobs. And to be honest with you guys, there was always some type of matchmaking system in place for the older Call of Duty games. There's always that protective bracket. But it's a difference between the stupidly thick matchmaking system we have current date and the loose matchmaking system that we had back in the day, and also what they reintroduced with BO7. A massive difference. Yet there are still so many Activision foot soldiers out there trying to defend the system, to protect their little lobbies. Oh man. I can't get over it, man. And I should say I expect an apology, and a lot of us deserve an apology, but we're never going to get it. We're absolutely never going to get it. Those people are going to vanish, and they'll probably pop their heads back out when, some more drama can come on through where, they could try to call us all morons. But until that day comes, they'll probably be long gone. But I do apologize. I kind of got off topic here. The point I was trying to make is that the only reason this happened is because of competition. If Battlefield 6 never dropped this year, this would have never happened. They would have never had a reason to go ahead and remove the matchmaking from Black Ops 7 whatsoever. So this proves that everything they have been telling us over the course of these years have been nothing but lies. And who knows, this might be a lie as well. So just stay cautious, ladies and gentlemen. Although this is indeed a W for the community, this does not confirm what's going to happen in the future. And I see a lot of people worried about Infinity Ward, going ahead and re-implementing it. But you have to keep in mind, matchmaking has nothing to do with the development teams. And a lot of people are praising Treyarch for bringing it back in. It wasn't Treyarch, guys. It's Activision. Treyarch gets to go ahead and announce it, and they get to say, yeah, we got matchmaking reduced in our game. But it wasn't them. It was Battlefield 6 and Activision losing money. That is what caused this change to happen, and there's no guarantee what will happen in the future. And if it does get reintroduced with Modern Warfare 4, you have to understand it's not Infinity Ward's fault, it's Activision's. And we have no confirmation what's going to happen when competition dies down a little bit. Call of Duty is a yearly release. You got to keep that in mind. Not every other company releases a yearly game, so at some point in time, the FPS scene will calm down again. Call of Duty will be the main, FPS out there. And that means they could do whatever the heck they want. So this is not guaranteed to stay whatsoever. And they could totally come back years down the road and say, well, we have some new testing data that does confirm that, maybe a little bit stricter matchmaking will be better for the overall community. And guess what? I'm sure a lot of people will buy into it. But I have seen a lot of people concerned, like Charlie Intel, for an example, said, all of these changes Call of Duty is doing, no skill-based matchmaking, non-spanning lobbies, transparency with community, has to continue every year. They cannot reset this next year and act like nothing happened. Also, I saw another one by Modern Warzone saying, if y'all come back with a Modern Warfare game with full skill-based matchmaking and no red dots on the minimap, add Infinity Ward, with, of course, the obvious meme. And I agree. I agree with both of these statements by Modern Warzone and Charlie Intel. But what I have to say right here is that if this does occur, we have to put our foot down. We have to put our foot down. A lot of us were willing to put our foot down with BO7, and that's why we got the change that we have now, because a lot of us weren't going to buy it. And we have to keep that same energy moving forward. If they do decide to mess things up and do stupid things within the Call of Duty franchise, we have to have the nuts to say we are not buying this product. And I'm worried that this community does not have the nuts to do such, because the majority of the community didn't have the nuts ever. And a lot of them were going to buy BO7 regardless if skill-based matchmaking was going to be in the game or not in the game. So what I'm hoping here is that after this overall experience and after everybody being able to witness firsthand what true competition can do to the overall franchise, because I think a lot of us kind of accepted that skill-based matchmaking was going nowhere. This is going to be a permanent feature for the rest of Call of Duty's lifespan. I think a lot of us came to that conclusion. And to see something that Activision fought so hard for disappear in literally the matter of less than a week because of competition, I think that shines a bright light on the fact that no company is invincible. And the fact that they came out and said, oh, Call of Duty's too big to fail, was the biggest bite in the butt ever. I gotta be honest, that was pure stupidity to say that. Like, seriously, guys, think about it. What consumer wants to hear a company that they're supporting say that they're too big to fail? That's just a big red flag. They're basically saying we could do whatever we want and we will never catch an L. Who wants to support that noise? I'm telling you, COD has been catching L after L after L after L this year. Rightfully so. But in order for these changes to actually occur, we have to keep putting our foot down. We can't give up. If these changes occur in Modern Warfare 4, if they decide to add back skill-based matchmaking, we can't buy into it. We have to skip it. We can't play it. And I know that's hard, especially for a lot of creators out there. But it's what we have to do in order to get real change out of the franchise. Because once we start folding again, they can do whatever they want. But one last time, I want to say a massive thank you to Battlefield. Thank you so much for not only making an amazing Battlefield game for this community to finally play, especially after all the flops you guys had. I guess I shouldn't be saying thank you for any of that stuff. They needed to put this out or else Battlefield was literally going to go down the drain. So I guess it was mandatory. But after, having Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 2042, not saying Battlefield 5 was completely awful. It got, a little bit better by the Pacific update, but let's be real. That was not a very successful game, especially when they started telling everybody, if you don't like it, don't buy it. I mean, DICE had a really rough patch to go ahead and work themselves through. They really did. So Battlefield 6 was needed for, the overall Battlefield community. It was desperately needed, and I'm very thankful we finally got something. And at the same time, thank you for fixing the competition in the scene. It's been ages since, there's been a true FPS competitor. There's been other FPS games, especially smaller ones, that I've been pushing along personally, and I would love to see, thrive and be extremely popular. But it's hard. It's very hard. When the mass majority of casuals don't really want to look at these, newer games or indie games or something like that, they mostly prefer AAA high-quality projects, even if they're not that high quality like COD, and they could just look high quality but still be buggy as hell at launch. They still prefer that because it has a massive budget behind it. So we needed a top dog like Battlefield to come into the scene and actually present something huge here to bring this competition and give us real change. And they did exactly that. It's just really cool to see that Battlefield is indeed this popular. It's a massive franchise, and it's just been held back for way too many years. Way too many years, way too many mistakes, to be honest with you guys, from DICE. And it's just wild to see that all it took was listening to literally make Battlefield one of the top most anticipated FPS games in the world. Not just, in the freaking world. Battlefield 6 is about to pop, ladies and gentlemen, and rightfully so. It deserves every last bit of it. And I can't thank you enough for all the change that you've made within the scene, because you have helped not only, again, the Battlefield franchise, but you helped almost every other franchise out there as well when it comes to bringing in real competition. But, ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. Post twice here, once at 8 a.m. and a second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. But don't forget, guys, tomorrow is the big day, Friday. Battlefield 6 is officially launching, so the stream will be up at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, just so I can go ahead and make sure I stream it for the full day. So if you guys are interested, I'll link to my Twitch channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.